What is biophilia?
Biophilia is our inborn love for nature. When you look at most of us, actually, this is just a reality for every one of us. When you look at our ancestors, they evolved in the natural world. They lived in the caves, they lived in the savannah, they lived outside. And after because of that evolution in nature, where they acquired emotions responses in regards to nature. They knew how to seek prospect and refuge. They knew where to stay, the angles to stay at, so that you can see danger coming or food but still be protected. They knew the colors that meant danger, the colors that meant this is okay, this is peaceful and everything. And this information is still stored in our brains today. Like, why is there an adrenaline peak when you're seeing the color red? Why are you relaxed when you're seeing the blues? This is something that we have evolved with as humans over time. So biophilia is that innate love for nature that we are all born with, and wanting to connect with nature and the natural systems and animals and pets, just nature in general, yeah.
What is biophilic design?
So biophilic design is now picking that love that we have for nature and now putting it in the context of the built environment. I'm an interior designer. So now how do I bring this love of nature? How do I bring shapes of nature, forms of nature, processes of nature? Like the way in nature you'll see fractals, repeating patterns at different scales. And looking at that has been proven to reduce our stress levels. How do I bring in fractals? Is it through wallpaper? Is it through art? Is it through the way we arrange the space? When you walk into a forest, there's a lot of complexity, but it's not too complex that it makes you feel like you're losing your mind. It's complex, but in an ordered way. There's a tall tree, there's a short one, there's some shrub, there's a lot of things to say. There's information variety. How do we give our spaces information variety to have the same experience as I'm walking through a forest and bring that relaxation that I get when I'm just forest bathing? So biophilic design is taking all these attributes, all these patterns of biophilia, all these patterns, shapes, colors, forms, ways of interacting with nature, merging them with culture, and just creating spaces that connect to us and make us healthier and happier.
What are some of the benefits that biophilic design offers?
In terms of benefits of biophilic design, there's a lot. There's a lot of health benefits. As I was mentioning earlier, there's a lot of researches that have shown how you heal faster when you have a view of nature, from surgeries, from illnesses. Just having a view of nature in hospital versus having a concrete view. I mean, it boosts the healing time. It reduces the pain levels. When you look at even selling rates in terms of money, property values are higher when you're in an environment that is biophilic. When you look at even hotels, we pay for the views. You pay for the best views of nature. I mean, when you look at the financial sense of it, yes, people actually do pay for nature, especially people who have really being subjected to this urban life where you have no connection with nature. So these health and well-being benefits, these higher cognitive responses and growth for kids, these creativity and enhanced creativity. Sorry, when you look at even workspaces, there's higher morale within the employees because you're in a space that is well lit. There's plants, there's smells of nature. So the benefits are tremendous. It's just like how you feel when you go to nature. Now bring it to the office, to your home, to wherever building you occupy, to the hospital, to the church. So yeah.
Tell us about how biophilic design can be done through an African lens.
I think when it comes to interpreting biophilic design from an African lens, it's just looking back at taking the attributes, or rather the elements of biophilic design, use of natural shapes and forms. For example, you will find that the shapes of the houses just mimicked the shapes of the landscapes. There was a lot of huts, which just mimicked the hills that were, the backdrop of the landscapes. There was a lot of also houses that were shaped in the form of trees, really tall huts, not the circular ones that just looked like the trees. There's a lot of use of environmental materials, the reeds, the bamboo, what was just already there. There's a lot of use of there's this element of biophilic design which is called evolved human nature relationships, where buildings are not just about the structure, it's also about the connection, the spiritual connection. When you got into spaces, you'd see there was always a space that was connected to the spirit, whether it's a stone that is reflecting some ancestor or a space that is reflecting God in a way. Like the building is bigger than just materials. So when I look at the main six attributes of biophilic design, I try to look at them from how my ancestors build. Yeah, we used the mud, we used everything that, we didn't, we used materials that were just next to us. And when I look at it from the modern perspective, I'm looking at these materials. Okay, we used the mud, we used the bamboo, we used reeds, we used yeah, let's use that for example. How can we modernize this? How can we use the same materials but in a modern way? How can we enhance? Like for example, there's someone in Kenya who is making blocks for building using agricultural waste and mycelium. And it's just taking the same way we'd take what was just next to us and use that instead of importing things from all over and releasing a lot of carbon in the air. It's just around, it's just using what is around us. Yeah. And I think for different people, let's say in Europe the materials are different, in Africa the materials are different. So the main basis of it is the materials first of all, and also the culture. When you look at how we build, it was very social. There was a lot of courtyards, there was a lot of connection. Like we lived in a village where the central point was for interaction with people, it was for play, it was for meetings, it was for bringing people together. So even in the design aspect, where is the central place? In these apartments that we are living, we are not even connecting with people because it's just blocks and blocks. And so where's the central place? Where's the place that is calling us together? Because most African homes had courtyards, and also the courtyards were not just a social element, it was also an element of, it was also an architectural element in terms of bringing cool air in, releasing the hot air. So there's quite a lot of detail that gets into that, but I'd say the social and cultural and the material angle is what I try to look at.
What is the biggest challenge biophilic designers face today?
The biggest challenge that implementing biophilic design or advocating for biophilic design that comes up is the fact that most people, because of that lost connection with nature, we have become, I tend to think we have become products of our environment, in terms of we have grown up in concrete, that we have become concretized, for lack of a better way of explaining it. We don't see nature as sacred. Life has become very materialistic, capitalistic, and money centered. So it's about, I need to fill up this piece of land and get the maximum amount of money I can get. Who cares about a green space? People need houses. So I think that connection is so severely lost that speaking to people about nature, yes, people are listening and they're saying, okay, yeah, yeah, that's true. Okay, that's true. But I want maximum profits from my land. If I leave this green space, this could have been a house. So the money angle of how our life or our world is just constructed really makes it difficult to convince that we do not need to fill up or to extract everything to make money. This natural space, this tree is actually important to you. If we kill all the trees, we won't even be here to enjoy the money. So the money angle, the materialistic angle is quite a challenge to try and get it off from people's minds, especially when you look at some of the economic struggles that we face. You find that most people are not employed. People's mindset is just about money and survival. And trying to bring conversations around nature is like, I need money first. So that is, I think that's the biggest challenge to begin with. And second of all, it's the perception that nature is for rich people. And when you look at Kenya, for example, the leafy suburbs, the high end areas are full of trees. In fact, you can't even see the people who live there because they are nested in trees and jungles. And people have the perception that because those suburbs are the Karens in Nairobi, the Rundas, the Muthaigas, that's where the rich live and full of trees. But when you look at most of the population, the rest of the population, which is the majority, they live in concrete jungles and blocks, and there's that thought that has been created, or mindset that nature is for the rich people. So also trying to show people that nature is for everyone, creating that language is not easy. So I think it's more of a mindset problem. We're having a serious mindset problem in how we view nature and how we have lost the connection to nature, and it makes it a bit difficult in terms of trying to tell someone that you need this. You need connection with nature in your house because I mean that's for the rich, that's luxury. Or no, I need maximum input from this.